talk to me about Trump. You have followed him and been one of the great things I love on your program when I watch you on your platform is your criticisms of Trump, your analysis of Trump. What do you make of where he is now?
I mean, I think he's very short-sighted and very self-interested. So I think, like, if we're thinking about what Trump is doing right now, I think he's just trying to, in the simplest terms, avoid criminal scrutiny and criminal prosecution. And he's definitely narcissistic enough and selfish enough to use the entire Republican Party as his wet rag to get whatever he needs to do done. I mean, he's using the Republican Party's coffers, obviously, to pay for his legal fees, which is hilarious in and of itself. And the Republican Party certainly deserves it, by the way. But I think that's his major motivation in this instance. I never was a believer that he was a firm and committed ideological fascist. His actions certainly are. His actions are very proto-fascist, and he's obviously, like, he doesn't care if fascism all of a sudden took over. Like, I don't think he would care. He wouldn't be like, oh no, this is a bridge too far. He does have that level of privilege that allows him to behave in that way as a billionaire and as a white dude. However, I think it requires more reading to be a committed fascist, and he's not going to do that. Like, he doesn't give a shit about, like, doing the racism reading.
He didn't major in fascism, too many prereqs.
Yeah, he didn't. He's not gonna sit around and read, like, Culture of Critique or any number of different things that these fucking losers talk about, like the Ann Coulters of the world. What is it? There's like a couple, like the Turner Diary style stuff that people always talk about. Like, Trump is not doing that. That's why I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, he has a copy of Mein Kampf on his, like, bed, on his nightstand." I was like, that motherfucker didn't read that. Get out of here. Like,
he might break up Adderall pills or lines of coke on it, but he's absolutely not open it.
He probably thought it was Riz. He was like, yeah, look, see, I love this book. He's a dangerous guy.
Might be Riz in his world. So does he win this election?
It depends. I think that the Republican Party, weirdly enough, is doing everything they can. It's like the inverse of the Democratic Party in some ways, to lose the election. The abortion stuff is a major issue, like an unimaginable issue for them. They are losing the suburbs. White women, which was a constituency that went by 52% to Donald Trump in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, definitely white women are not too fond of the whole abortion decision. And the problem there is that Republicans are usually very good at, like, advocating for horrible policy and never fully following through on it, and only incrementally making things worse. Usually, like trap laws, for example, basically functionally made it so that it was almost impossible to get an abortion. You didn't have to criminalize abortion to get the job done. So now that they actually are responsible, now that the dog caught the car on the issue of abortion, they own it. And there's no other way around it. People see that, people recognize that, and that's why they're in this, like, weird messaging conundrum where they're like, oh, well, do we want a federal abortion ban? Like, some people are still trying to push some people are still trying to stress test this issue and take it to the next step. And at least Trump is like a permanent room reader who recognizes that that's not a good idea. So he's saying, like, no, you don't understand. I made it into states' rights, which everybody wanted. He's just, like, lying and saying, like, everyone demanded that we overturn Roe v. Wade.
Right.
So they're in this delusional situation, and I think that's a major issue. Another issue is, depending on what happens with foreign policy and what the global economic implications of our foreign policy actions will look like come the election, you might have a very different attitude. Like, the American population might have a very different attitude about Joe Biden's economy. So it's dependent on those factors, and dependent on how much people think that Trump's corruption and fascism will genuinely harm their bottom line and harm the way that they exist in this country.